Hi, everyone. Today it's June 1st, 2023, and this is episode 14 of Straight Talk with Sophia and One. Today we'll explore activating the light body, and our questioners with us. I don't know if you have anything to elaborate on that topic before I begin, but you could go ahead now if you'd like to.
I just want to say hello to everyone, and I'm really curious about this because I've been teaching it since 1990. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say, Sophia.
Okay. Well, there's different sections of how the conversation went. Initially, I would like to talk about creation, because that was part of the conversation, and I will just read it. Initially, there was nothing but pure potential. As this was the potential for everything, what followed immediately was the manifestation of life. Now, life initially was without form. What it needed in order to have form was intent. For once life was initiated, the questions followed. Questions of shape, size, sound, purpose, sensation were some of the initial queries. With infinite potential came endless possibilities. A management system of some sort was developed with intent. For creation to know itself, it had to frame itself around a possibility. It had to answer its own question. The question was, who am I? And here is where intelligence responded and birthed infinite answers. Each answer, a component of the whole, complete unto itself, yet significant in its unique response. Not a clone, meaning identical, or a puppet, meaning controlled, but a segment of the everything with its own fingerprint. This segment, this fragment of creation itself, has imagined itself countless ways. Today, it imagines itself to be you, who reads or hears these words right now. Your light body is another term for core essence. It's that part of you that is not imagined. It's that part of you that remains, regardless of how many imaginings you have from it. It is your core truth. It is the you that emanates from the everything, encompasses the everything, and encompasses the everything. It is truth. It is the you that remains when all else falls away. The term light body may be giving a false or erroneous impression because it's not necessarily a body in the form you know of, with head, torso, 2 arms, and 2 legs. This you who is imagining the you who reads and hears these words is what you refer to as your light body. You might think of this component as an overseer. You might think of this aspect as a watcher. It holds only your best interests. It will not alter your plan for your day or your life, yet will assist if asked. It knows why you are here. It will not interfere with your free will choice to do whatever it is that you are in the act of choosing. Mostly, you will know it as your closest friend. Generally, you will know it as your higher self, although there is no higher or lower in creation. Specifically, in that unique portion of creation that is known as you. I don't know if you, that's kind of a stopping point in this. I don't know if you want to add anything or say anything or.
That is beautifully articulated. It is true. That is what we are. We're fractals of source and unique in our own expression. So thank you.
You're welcome. I loved the definition of creation. That was just
Yes.
visually beautiful when it was, I guess downloaded to me or whatever. It was just really fulfilling, filling. It was really complete. And it's hard to get that across in words, how complete and full it really is. But I'm hoping that you could feel it because it was beautiful. He said a lot. I'm just going to, this is a part that I felt was important. He talked about a misunderstanding around the term or the purpose of light body, and that for some, there's a supposition that we are supposed to achieve a light body state, and that would be the ultimate in human spiritual evolution. And he said that supposition leaves out the gift and the brilliance that is the human body. And it is the marriage of both that results in expansion and energizes your personal spiritual evolution. I don't know how you feel about that, but I thought that was really interesting when he said that.
Yes, I feel that that is absolutely correct.
Okay. He said, and then he said, the light body is your core. This is something to keep in mind always. For the core is like the trunk of a tree. It is the place from which the rest of you emerges. A strong, healthy trunk gives birth to strong, healthy branches, limbs, leaves, etc. It is the same with the light body. It is the same with you. Only the difference here that there are no light bodies that are not strong and healthy. In order for you to be here at all, your light body has to be accessible. For there is not ever an incarnate soul without a solid foundation and pure intent, and your foundation is your light body. It is your core from which all of you springs. He went on to talk about what access to the light body feels like, because that's the title of this discussion, activation of your light body. He said, although you would not be here without a light body, you are not always in communication with it. Those of you wishing to fulfill your life's purpose will seek to know this part of self. It will be a lifelong seeking as your light body is ever shifting and adjusting to whatever is before it. An important thing to know about the light body is that it is not static. So let us look at what it feels like when access is happening. It feels like joy. It feels like shivers up your spine. It feels like passion. It brings a smile. It feels like the knowing of truth. It is pure. It feels real. He said, you are living the life that you have created, All that you see around you is there because you have deemed it so. And in order to activate your light body, the initial component for activation is trust in self. He said, those who are successful with activation possess a strong sense of self-worth. Has it not been said that you are gods? The definition of a god is a creator being, and you are all creator beings. Allow that to sink in and resonate throughout self, for it is true. As a creator being, you engage always with the idea that you are the ultimate holder of what is the highest and best for self, and this involves trust. This looks at doubt directly and embraces it while simultaneously incorporating intuition. For your intuition, when seen or heard purely, is direct communication from the light body. This is the part of you that is completely engrossed in your life, your physical life. It always has your best interests as its motivation. Your light body is you in pure form. Once you trust your intuitive knowing, you will begin to get a form in mind for it, and it will become a familiar voice. He went on to say that humans have invented words for this, like angel on my shoulder, devil on my shoulder, my conscience. He said these words are not fully accurate, but they tell you is that it's a real phenomenon, it's a real thing. And although maybe not fully understood, the light body can be accepted as truth. It's a valid part of self, as much as your physical body and your ego self is. He said, initially, then, let us say that the light body is a phenomenon that can be accepted as real, for humans have attempted to name it. Secondly, let it be said that it differs from your human body or your ego self, ego, personality self. All of these components of you simultaneously exist, and all of these contribute. What is at issue, perhaps, regarding activation of your light body is awareness. In order for awareness to be activated, the light has to be accepted as real, necessary, and vital. And then he goes on to compare it to a newborn, a child that very early in their life, they discover they have feet. And he said, they do not question the existence of feet, for they can touch them, feel them, and see them. But it takes about a year before they know what they're for. And what they're for is to hold the body upright, walk, skip, run, these things. But before these things become a part of the child's life, he or she has to accept and explore what feet are. They have to accept them as real. And he said, accept that your light body is real in a similar way that you've accepted your feet are real, because you have felt it and perhaps you've heard it. Trust that it exists. Perhaps you have not yet discovered what it can do for you, but you know that it's there. Again, in a similar fashion, your light body can be used to support you, to hold you up, and even help you fly. You just haven't learned how to use it yet. So do you have anything to say about any of that before I go on?
Yeah, what I've noticed about it is it reconfigures within you and it accelerates and it um, helps you to understand what humans can do as guardians of our planet and other planets. And you just grow with it. It's dazzling. It looks like a very bright diamond inside of you to me at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as you reconfigure your DNA and grow your DNA, which is like a child, you're growing your brain cells, you're growing your ability to master different emotional, physical, mental, spiritual levels throughout your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a marvelous part of your depth, your totality, your uh, your beingness, and you end up loving life so much
Mm,
and yourself in ways
mm,
that are very different. They're not sequential. They're not linear. They can be, and they need to be, and they need to be practical. But you're not just that. You are also a traveler. You're able to um, even create stargates. So eventually, and so we let it grow up with you, and it's a wonderful, profound friend that never goes away. It's it's both, and we need to be both or multidimensional. That's who we are, and
mhm,
so regaining that confidence that that's really what we are. We don't have to bow to certain conditions that are projected on us from whatever society we find ourselves in. Though sometimes we need to be discerning and careful. So
mhm,
anyway, that's from an experiential level
mhm,
what I have to say, and it's very very wonderful, uplifting, and yet we still have all of our emotional levels. We're meant to have them. We integrate them, and we get better with age. So
mhm,
um, it's basically that's my part of the conversation. So thank you.
mhm, mhm. I appreciate that, and I'm um, reminded of something that he says a little bit later about the children who are being born now and what their experience will be like. So it'll be much different than yours and mine were and is.
Right.
um, so um, the fact that they'll grow up with it and they'll never think it's weird to talk about it or, yeah,
Yeah,
you know.
we had discovered. Hmm. Well, we're the Rainbow Warriors, a lot of us,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to rediscover it in a time that wasn't looking on as a good thing. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
Mm-hmm. Right, right. It was just, yeah, yeah. There are a lot of things. I think many of us, in my experience, as I talk to people and remember my own, um, growing up, that we just knew things and felt things and maybe didn't always talk about them because you also knew that nobody really talked about these things that you knew and felt and saw maybe. But I think maybe the new generation of children that are coming to us now um, will be different. In their experience of it will be different. They'll be able to talk about it. Yeah.
they will, and it was too dangerous for us to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really was. And so you just, yeah, just found your way to keep it alive without talking about it to a lot of people or anybody, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, okay. So he says, now he's talking about how to bring the light body into view. He said, so once you trust that it exists and you can remember a time when you felt it or heard it or something, um, it's time to bring it forward, and that the method that you bring it forward will differ. Um, but the result is always the same. The result is that answers to your questions, you'll get them somehow. Either you hear them, you'll see them, or something. And he said these could come to you in, flashes of inspiration, dreams, ideas fully formed, or they could be direct responses. So you could write things or speak them. He said, intent must be present, as is true for any act of creation. So you've got to understand that it exists and then intend to communicate with your light body. Once intention for communication is in place, all responses can be accepted as valid and true. And he said, remember that communication from your light body will sound like you. And this is because in a very real sense, it is you. And I think that people get confused and don't trust inner knowings that come to them or that they see or the things that they feel, because it feels like, well, because I think we've been trained away from that actually to trust ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So he said that the entirety of you is vast. The component of you here to facilitate your spiritual evolution is your light body. It uses your ego, personality, self, and your physical body in this imagined life to do so. Advancement happens when all of your component parts are coordinated and synchronized. For spiritual wisdom without practical application is a bit like watching how-to videos on walking without ever standing on your own 2 feet. The whole point is to access and utilize your core knowing in this physical life. So he says, he basically says, so you're going to have to try it out. You're going to have to try out that what you heard or what you think or what you felt was real somehow. An investigation leads to further inquiry, deeper exploration on repeat. And then he said, this is about the children. There are children being born now who will never forget how to communicate with their light body. By the time they reach adulthood, it will not be uncommon. It will be a component of the conversation. There will be new words that tell the full story. This will be a time when light body is not relegated to an isolated component of society. It will be accepted. And I love thinking about that. Actually, right now, a friend of mine is in the hospital um, waiting for one of those new babies to be born. So I don't know when
Okay.
that's going to happen. So that's exciting to think about that, the life that will be, that they'll have. The rest of this is about your journey with your partner. And he refers to when you began the light body classes, it was not um, it was not common practice. It was considered sort of out of this world, as that was the way he used it. And it wasn't really accepted by the whole of society. And it probably lumped in with things that were more paranormal, which is interesting that that's a label that was placed on it.
Mm.
He says, and said that the questioner and her partner were way showers, and she still is. They came together and were bonded by agreement. Theirs is an old union. It is true, initially they were not aware of the prior bond, yet the work and trajectory of their pairing led them to discover it. This is true of most pairings, whether by love or work or family. For these pairings are synchronized repetitions of successful, cooperative bonds from other nows. The bonding can feel almost visceral in such cases. Our questioner now lives out the remaining portion of the arrangement. It is to continue with the work, only now to incorporate fully the intelligence of her partner into the work. For he is with her always, and often can be noticed, seen, sensed, or heard at very specific moments of her teaching, her dreams. These moments are not her imagination. The lesson they came to teach was to move beyond doubt and into trust. The light body is real. Once bonded, the connection and the communication continues. Her journey is is sometimes painful. This is often the case of those who want the deepest learning experience. Her mate's leaving when and in the way that it occurred was an ultimate love gift, for his service to her ultimately will bring her to exquisite and expanded heights in her own intuition. In this way, her work will improve in quality and in reach. Once she begins to trust again, her message to those whom she touches will be deeply resonant. This is the message around his passing and her purpose. She's not alone, nor has she ever been. And once she incorporates their bond into her work and purpose, she will fly regularly. This is as she is meant to do. She's a conduit for love and for light here and now. And that is how he ended it.
Thank you so much. Very meaningful to me. Yeah.
You're welcome. It's very beautiful. And it was an honor to receive it and to share it with you. Unless you have anything else to say before we end the recording, we'll end it and we'll end it here.
Okay, I think that's good. I'm feeling my heart. The beauty of what you both have given me. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And I appreciate what you give to everyone. So thank you for your work and for your willingness to ask the question and have it be heard. I want to say to everyone who's listening, that's all for today. And thank you for contributing to our journey, and lots of love and light. And we will see you in the next episode.